my name is Michelle Dortanak and I'm founder of Unatero Yoga. Today, let's take a look at Virabhadrasana 2, or otherwise known as Warrior 2. Why we would want to do it with the hammock and how it can help us. So essentially, let me show it to you on the floor first so that we know what we're doing. On the floor, it's a standing position, and you start out with your feet spread apart. You're going to turn one of the legs so that the toes point to the side, and in this case, it's my right leg that's doing that. At that point, you bend the knee of that leg so that the knee comes right over the ankle. And what we're doing here is we're trying to get a nice deep stretch for the inner thighs and also build some stability and some strength. Now, here's the thing about this position. Once I do this, it's challenging for most people. And nobody has a hip joint where if you externally rotate that the leg goes all the way to the side while both hips are completely aimed straight ahead. So what that means is, for most people, for many people I should say, once you bend that knee, if the hips are kind of pointed more forward because that feels better for this leg, then all of a sudden this knee sort of turns in and drops down towards the floor. So there's a lot that we have to pay attention to when we practice this on the floor in terms of not letting this knee drop in or not letting the hips, be too square to the side. And so it can feel a little bit challenging because of that. Now, what we do with the upper body actually helps us maintain this position on the lower half. And that is that we stretch the arms parallel to the floor and we twist the rib cage to the side more than the hips can turn because of this knee, right? And we want to protect this knee. And at the same time, the tendency is to sort of lean into the leg. So we pull the ribs back and keep the heart over the navel. And that pulling back and twisting can help you sort of relax this whole right hip area a bit so that it allows you to sink a bit more down, right? The more active you are in sort of pulling back, the less you have to work in the lower side of your muscles and of your torso. So that's essentially what we're doing on the floor. Let's take a look at how we can use the hammock to, help us get into the Warrior 2 and do the Warrior 2. So I start out standing in plumb line, and I'm going to use that same leg to show you. So it's my right leg that I put through the two sides of the hammock so that the hammock supports my thigh. Well, now, as you can imagine, when I come into this here, the leg is being lifted, and I don't even have to worry one moment about this knee joint or the ankle and this sort of like what's happening is the knee falling in towards the side or whatever, because there's no weight going through the leg, so it's just not even an issue. There you go. That's one reason why to use the hammock, right? So you just take that worry or concern out of it. The other thing is that by using the hammock, here I am standing upright. Once I get into that stretch for the inner thighs, right? The hammock, you might be able to see this. I hope you can see this. From vertical, once you take the hammock out of plumb line, it sort of does this, right? It sort of bends. So that means that this part of the hammock is sort of coming towards my head if I'm doing this thing of trying to lean towards the knee. So it almost like makes me want to pull my chest back. So it encourages me to do exactly what I would want to do on the floor to help me sustain the position and get into it deeper. Now, the only thing that you need to be a little bit more careful of in the hammock than you do on the floor is what's going on with this standing leg. Because when you're on the floor, your weight is sort of down evenly between the two legs. If anything, you're maybe putting a little more weight in this side, and so this side can relax a bit, right? But here, using the hammock in this way, all of your body weight is standing on this particular leg. So you may need to turn the toes a little bit in the same direction as the right leg, or you may need to walk your foot a little bit in the direction of where you're going to go with your hips, just so that you take some of that intensity out of it. That's the Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2, with a few extra little details for you to help you practice it, not only with the hammock, but also on the floor. I hope you find it useful.